Hello everybody and welcome back. We are going into map number 2, Train of Windigo versus ENCE, and a bit of a surprising result to start us off, Dean.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting Windigo to be able to pick up a convincing win if they were able to do it. We said, of course, Inferno is a map that they are pretty solid on. It wasn't what we were expecting initially coming into the Veto. We were expecting a Mirage instead to come out because that's one where it is overall a bit more of an even ground, but it was understandable. Windigo, they come in, they looked well prepared on Inferno, and they did, we'd have to say, just look like the stronger team overall.
Sure, and that's something we talked about before we came into this, right? That perhaps Windigo were going to be looking at ENCE as the guys to beat here. You know, they've got a bit of a bounty on their head after DreamHack, and now they're thinking, you know what? We got to prepare for these guys. We expected Mirage, Train, and Dust 2. We got Inferno, Train, and Dust 2. And that's thanks to Windigo thinking a little bit more about their opponents. Now, not too surprising in the end. I'd like to talk about just the end of the Veto. It was a choice for ENCE between Mirage and Dust 2. And Mirage is a map where they lost 16-6 against the previous Windigo lineup. And arguably, they're now stronger with Poison. I mean, that's why they made that change. Something that we talked about over in Bucharest, being the B-Pro, is sort of the feeder team for Windigo. They're in the same region, and whenever B-Pro seem to get a player that's a strong guy, you know, looks like a very dominant force, Windigo just offer him a nice, juicy contract, and he hops on over. I think that there's no mystery as to why they chose to get rid of Mirage, considering the poor performance previously, and now Windigo potentially being even stronger.
Yeah, it was actually Punisher as well who they removed, who, in my opinion, was kind of one of the weaker links on that Windigo lineup. They had Bubble on the op at that point. He was never really a primary opper. He couldn't really focus on the in-game leading because of that. And I think now coming on to Train, Poison, he's going to be the one that is really going to have to step it up. He had an okay performance on Inferno. He wasn't really amazing by any means, but it was kind of just overall everyone on Windigo stepping up and doing their role, which is, I think, what we do need here as well on Train. But I feel like the op in the hands of Poison is going to need to have a little bit more impact. But then again, Inferno, we didn't really get to see anyone with the ops have impacted. Alu never really got his role in either, apart from those first couple of rounds, I think was when he actually had the opportunity to bring that out. So, ENCE as well, we do want to see more from them. Alu is going to be able to find the op. If they want, they can maybe try and pull out a double op setup. If we do see Windigo pull that out, they actually have a couple of different players they pull it out on, specifically on Train, I think it was, but even as we seen back at the Bucharest Gaming Week. It's usually Ships, I think, that they pull that second op out on, surprisingly.
Yeah, well, we saw that on Inferno as well, right? And he just dropped a 30 bomb over there, so feeling pretty good with the op at the moment and the AK. The thing is, yeah, on Train, we expected coming into Bucharest that it was going to be Poison and Bubble opping, but it looks like now more and more, like, obviously they're comfortable putting it on Bubble, but it's very situational. They'll let Ships use it towards B if necessary. Poison tends to play around that connector area. This is where we were looking in particular, though, at the matchups between Poison and Alu on a map like Train, where we expected to see this come out. It's no real mystery as to why it did. It's a comfortable ground for both teams, but a little bit more so for ENCE perhaps, especially considering their 16-4 scoreline the last time they played here. And the different styles of these two oppers, of Poison and Alu, will certainly be butting heads in an interesting way.
Yeah, Alu, of course, likes to be a little bit more passive, and we will see from Poison he likes to be a little bit more versatile. Especially on the CT side, we see Alu kind of, he doesn't like to get aggressive over on B, for example. That's something that Poison is pretty confident with. He likes to go towards up, or they can leave him alone and take a bit of a gamble due to that. On the other hand, then Alu, he likes to sit back further, just try and pick off one player, allow for the site to be taken, for example. And Poison, he's a little bit more of a playmaker, but that's something that can work out, but also can backfire. It's all about that risk-reward, and especially with Alu over on that T side, he likes to just kind of sit back and wait for that aggression to come in. That's what he will be hoping for. Well,
and that's what Windigo tend to offer up. Now, again, they've clearly prepared for their opponents. They know what they're facing off against, and so I think Poison will be a little bit more cautious about going for the likes of the connector peak late on, knowing that Alu will potentially be posted there in rounds where ENCE are going to be able to get the op. And that's another thing. It's going to be about tracking the economy of the other team, making sure you have a rough idea when they have an op and when they don't, because when they don't, that's when you can let Poison off the leash to go ham, to take aggressive peaks, to peak connector, go back to B, do whatever he wants, and know that there's not going to be a one-shot kill lined up. Well, maybe an AK, but you're hoping the Poison will be able to hit the shot quicker than a headshot comes in. And that's the whole thing here with Windigo. I feel like if they give Poison enough room, and that's a problem that a lot of teams that have faced Windigo recently have hit, that they give Poison so much room that he's able to get the likes of the last time we saw him on Train, 34 kills. He's able to clock up these consistent performances. But now, perhaps a player like Alu will be able to put him in his place when they're not trying to take that aggressive 1v1 op battles, but instead Alu's posting up and just waiting for a mistake to be made.
I'm actually going to ask you, Mitch, how do you think that this one is going to go? If you were to give a prediction, not asking scoreline, etc., but who do you think is going to take this? Are we seeing a 2-0 or are we going to see it being a 3-mapper?
I can see either as a possibility. That's why we all watch CS, because it's always a possibility. It is a cop-out, though. So I'm going to say I think Windigo can do it. Looking at the momentum previously, I believe in Poison on this map. We've seen him before. We've seen him do this against good teams. I definitely think that this is... if anything, coming into this series, Train would have been the map that I'd say Windigo have the best chance on, just because of Poison's impact against other teams. But then the other side of the coin is perhaps Alu shows up and does effectively push Poison into a box where he's scared to peak angles and he's playing a bit more passive. And that's just not the style that he plays, so I don't know how well he'll fit in if he's forced to adapt that style.
I think I'm seeing this as a 3-mapper. I'm still going to stick with ENCE. I feel like they will be able to take this one 2-1 in the end. If we just look back at Inferno, it seemed like they weren't really expecting that to come out in this series. We didn't really see them playing a very, I guess, as I said, they became a little bit stale, especially on that CT side. Very easily read by Windigo, who were able to keep things a little bit more versatile and completely abuse the weaknesses of that hold. And I don't think that's going to happen here on Train, because it is the map choice events. They'll be a lot more prepared. They'll be ready to go. And I feel like we will be seeing a 3-mapper. I think if we get to Dust 2, that's where things can get really interesting.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. That's Dust 2 will be an interesting map to see come out. I feel like that will challenge Windigo a bit more on an individual level than maybe the likes of Train, where they can kind of sit back on the crutch of Poison. Problem is, if Poison doesn't do well here, there's nothing really that stands out for Windigo as a reason that they should win Train. I feel like if he's not showing up, then ENCE have a walkover. Whereas you look at the opposite side of the coin, well, let's say Alu doesn't show up. Well, they've got Sergey. He just proved himself in the previous round. They've got pretty much their whole lineup, right? I mean, Ariel's been playing insane over on Inferno. That's the thing, you know, ENCE have got more to lean on in terms of if their opera doesn't show up, can they still come out on top? So it's a risky bet putting it on Windigo here because it's so centralized around Poison being that top fragger, especially, like we said, looking at the previous performance when these two teams met 3 months ago. Slightly different lineup, but... when you take Poison out of the situation, you get a rough idea, and it's a 16-4 for ENCE. So I'm hoping we see Poison step it up to make this a really close game. And based on the previous map, at least one of those ops will, because Ships was doing all that work as well.
Yeah, I feel like overall we should see a pretty close game here. I'm still going to stick with my prediction of ENCE being able to actually take it. I do think we'll see 3 maps coming and eventually ENCE taking the victory. But I think it's going to be very close here. I'd imagine that we are going to see Windigo stepping it up. I don't think we're going to see ENCE having another very quiet game. Specifically so Alu, this is where he should be able to shine through on that AWP. So hoping that we can get into this one soon. But yeah, do you have a player, I suppose, over on the ENCE side that you're going to highlight if it apart from Alu?
Well, apart from Alu, the player that stood out the most to me in the previous one was Ariel. I mean, he was doing huge work consistently throughout the entirety of the map. He was put in a lot of situations where like he had to pick up 2 or 3 kills, and he did. And that's the kind of thing I want to see stepping it up. ENCE in general, I think that their CT side being that little bit more passive. We're looking at the likes of the heat maps over the last couple of games on Train, and they don't tend to get too aggressive in a lot of spots. I think Ivy is their primary aggression. Outside of that, they're not a team that regularly pushes upper B. They're not a team that regularly pushes even team main. So I feel like Windigo have got them on that front in the fact that they are just that more... when you give them the room like that, where they're not too worried about being pushed in very aggressively, they don't have to worry about flanks that much. That's where they kind of thrive. Like we said, like space has just been Poison's flourishing ground. It's been the conditions that he needs to really shine through, and he's been given a lot of it by some of these bigger teams recently. I think ENCE know that, and they'll look to take him down, but the problem is if they get the economy rolling on the Windigo side where Ships and Poison can have ops, then things become very, very difficult to manage. Yeah,
specifically over on the CT side, of course.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see which side these are going to be starting off on, though, of course. Do you think that's really going to be important for Windigo coming into this? Do you want to see them getting that CT start, or do you think it's not really too big of a deal?
I think if they start on CT, it's going to be a make or break, right? If they don't have a convincing showing, well, then I think generally you're expecting them to get, like, on a good day, around 7 rounds out on that T side, even in games where they win relatively dominantly. They don't tend to come out with massive like 10, 11 rounds, you know. So if they don't have a strong CT side starting it off, I mean, that's pretty much their forte, their go-to. They need that kind of in and around the 10 round scoreline, 9, 10 rounds. If they don't get that, then things get very difficult for them. And when it comes to that kind of scrappy mentality on a map that they feel so comfortable on, I'm not too sure how they're going to feel against ENCE.
Yeah, but we can't stop the speculation now, Mitch, because as we can see, the game is going to be live on your screens. The pistol round is going to be going into action, and it's actually going to be Windigo on the CT side. I believe that's because of the map choice being ENCE's, so they will be able to get themselves the CT side. Alexi B actually does pick up some utility. It's going to be a smoke and a flash, and Windigo, they don't bother buying up a defuse kit, meaning if that bomb goes down, they could have a tough time trying to come in for a retake. So they're going to be opting to, I guess, try and take that brute force approach. They will have to try and shut things down early on, and it looks like ENCE are going to try and favor perhaps over towards B. I think maybe just showing a bit of presence instead and preparing now to try and go for a bit of an A split, because as we can see, of course, X7 over towards Ivy. They have a player towards team main, and then the rest of the presence can be focused towards Pop Dog. Oh, Poison actually blocks that smoke with his body. That's absolutely perfect. Gives them the space now to actually try and work with.
Well, Victor's trying to get something done, but he's spamming away for too long. Although Bubble finds... Oh, Bubble actually finds a second there. That could be enough now. Pulling his team back into it. They've got to be careful from Ivy, though. X7's coming up. He misses his shots, and he's taken down. You can't be missing those. It's all onto Alu. Got to find a 1v2. This should have been done and dusted for ENCE. It should be a 2v1, but no longer. A possibility as Bubble picks up a 3k poison there on that one with X7 whiffing his shots. Now the P250 is all that remains, and it remains no longer as Windigo find themselves the pistol round. That could be the strong start they need. I feel like ENCE opened that up perfectly and just let it fly away from them.
I really like that from Poison, though. The second he's seen the... I think the thing was early on in the round, they noticed, of course, that the window was broken above Pop Dog, so he was prepared just in case they drew that smoke out. I guess again, that could be something that perhaps they were expecting trying to come in. That would be perhaps the preparation coming into play. Yeah. Because Poison seemed completely aware of it. The second he seen that, he took his knife out, instantly ran into place and was like, this is where I have to stand to block that smoke. And it worked out perfectly. Into this one, though, not going to be much of an investment from ENCE. They are going to just rush down towards B. And actually, looks like they will find the bomb plant off the back. The ship's been able to build up some economy at least, but a small victory being found with very little investment coming in from ENCE.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Their ships went a little bit too aggressive with the USP. He should have just backed off and played around the site. Because the thing is, like, you'll get a couple kills, you'll farm yourself some money, but once you're pulling that USP out, well, any kill doesn't really matter that much to you, and you're allowing them control on that bomb side if you fall. So it's a position that I feel like, in general, once you find those 1 or 2 kills, and you're starting to run low on ammo, you back off, you play on the bomb side, you hope your teammates can cover you long enough, which they did. Poison found one of them who was coming down the ramp, so he would have had time to get to the bomb site. It's a little bit unfortunate, but look, it's not the biggest of deals. It just means ENCE will be able to get that early op out on Alu, and that... Sure, it might not be the biggest of deals in general, but in this particular matchup, that could make all the difference. Poison and Alu will be butting heads early on, both with the AWPs in just round number 3. The benefits of the new economy system, we can see these early battles. And of course, it is Windigo actually on the deficit of economy. A FAMAS and 2 SMGs in play. Early nades towards B. Ships is using a lot of his utility early on. As a matter of fact, a lot of them are. He's only starting to run pretty dry. Only 2 Molotovs left. In terms of the path blocking, and already one of those being deployed.
Well, it looks like we're actually going to see a really quick approach on towards B. Ships only has an MP9 as well to try and hold this down. I guess one positive is that he's in a solid position here. Perfect counter to the fact that they're coming out of upper, but as they get further away now, the MP9 is not going to be all that effective at range, so it's going to be up to his teammates really to try and get the majority of the work done. And so far, they're not able to do so. It's only Ships to actually find a frag at all. Poison with the op trying to get something done. Coming in, eventually finds one, but he is now the last man standing, and with a USP in his hands, although he does go ahead and actually find the dink under Aerial. It just won't be quite enough. Taken down, and it is going to be ENCE to find that opening gun round once again. And after upgrading, of course, into that previous one now, Windigo aren't going to be able to find the buy. We're going to have to see them go for an eco. Going to be getting $1,900 into this next round, meaning although they can buy onto the majority of the players in the next one, Poison is going to be working with a pretty weak economy. Although, I guess one thing is the fact that his teammates do have a pretty solid amount of money. They'll be getting 1,900. Yeah. Victor could maybe drop over an op, and then Poison could give an M4 in return because he could still afford body armor.
Ships can also, of course, 47.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't even notice.
So much money.
So much more, yeah.
Because he found those kills. He's found 3 MP9 kills overall, I think, in the last 2 rounds. So he's feeling pretty good. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
I don't agree with this buy. I would have just allowed friends to get themselves that second round. Maybe upgrade a few pistols so they had a chance to get a few kills out of it and try and do damage to the economy, but...
Yeah, that's the most you would expect to see coming in. Poison's got a scout, so he can deal the damage to allow the FAMAS weapons to find easier...
FAMASs. I know
FAMAS weapons
to try and
find easier kills.
Plural.
The FAMAS plural.
It's like a cactus. It's FAMI.
That's what I was thinking, but it could be FAMASs. Some words do work like that. But let's see. Poison's got the scout over towards upper. There goes the smoke. That's going to counter it. The peek goes in. Almost finds the head. That was risky, peeking that early. Sergey, of course, probably not expecting a scoped weapon to be there. You're expecting an eco at this point. And that could be the downfall of ENCE. They're pushing up aggressively. They're going to be taken down by the AUG. Out comes Bubble then. And down goes Bubble as he's taken out by Sergey. A long range on the AK-47. He's already got himself a second. There's a third on the board. He's pulling them apart as if they have pistols. Although Poison does find the headshot with the scout, things are not looking too good. It's a difficult retake with a scout in play. I think there's an AK on offer up closer, but he's going to have to stand out in the open to pick that up.
Ooh, this perfect position here from Blocker. Problem is they don't have a defuse kit, so it's going to be very difficult even with this kill now, because there is pretty solid positions from ENCE to try and just hold this one down. Going to be tapping the bomb. A nice little flash goes in. Blocker, he initially spots out X7 in heaven. Both of them actually going to go ahead and just try and stand there to bomb now. It's going to have to be held off. Alu on the AWP gets the kill. And that is going to be ENCE coming out with the round victory. Sadly, that smoke just not quite covering the body of Blocker as he gets taken down. Poison at least saves the up. That's a small positive, but of course, again, Windigo did fully invest. So coming into this next round, you'd imagine it's going to be an eco, but then again, not a single player surviving over on the ENCE side means if they want to buy, they do know, of course, that no economy at all has been built up for ENCE, because they're going to have to completely reinvest.
I think even the smoke there, I'm not 100% sure that it wasn't covering them, because of course GoTV smokes can be
slightly different,
a little bit different. So I feel like that much of a leg, they wouldn't have made that much of a mistake with how far to throw it. But even still, I mean, look, Alu finding that shot is huge for the team, whether he could see him or not. Coming in, oh, ships with the aggression on B here. This is something we talked about from Windigo. They like to get aggro up there, but the kill not found onto Aerial is going to be costly. Maybe not, though, because Bubble returns it. Again, this damage is going in, but they had such a heavy investment from Windigo.
Yeah, just Poison there, who's alive. He has the op, doesn't even, I guess, opt to use it, ironically.
Hey.
He goes with the USP. Long range, he's out on the A bomb site and he's just using the USP.
Why not?
It works, okay?
It's a pistol round, right?
It worked. Yeah, obviously it's a pistol.
Everybody's got their pistols out. Alu's hunting down with the Glock. Poison's got the USP.
Alu does know he's low, though, so that is a positive. But
yeah.
he doesn't quite know where he's positioned. Poison has gone ahead and taken a little bit of a different route, so I don't think
he's got a kit
down. Oh, he's looking, I guess, to try and go for the ninja, but he's going to be heard in just a moment. Alexi B on the middle of the bomb site has been spotted. Opportunity for Poison, but the timing just as he switches off of the AWP and back onto the knife. Now he should be taken down. There it is. The op not going to be saved over, and that is a bit of a problem because now they have. Well, they're not going to buy into this round no matter what, but having that op to work with would have been a really nice bonus. Poison's currently sitting at 9-2 as well, so he's definitely hitting his shots so far. So if he had just brought that into this round, they would have had a couple of pistols maybe to back it up, would have given them some form of a chance. Instead now it's a couple of P250s, a couple of nades, and the hope really here is to try and get some damage done. But I guess one positive is they have kept the economy quite modest for ENCE.
That's always an upside, you know. They've been finding a lot of these kills, pushing in. Alexi B's cornered, and he's taken down straight afterwards. Alu to fall as well. 3 kills for 3 players, and a bomb, and an AWP, and an AK picked up. This is a massive advantage for the CT side. Blocker has also got himself a Molotov, so he can cut them off as they try to go in for the read. Where did that Molotov
went in
go?
Behind the train, I believe. Not quite what they were aiming for. Poison up close on the op, going for the no-scope, or rather a bit of a quick scope. They line up for Blocker. He only finds one before he falls, but Poison again on the AWP up close. He knows there, and with the P250, just as the smoke blooms, he rips the head of Sergey off, and it's Windigo off the back of basically a full eco to go ahead and get themselves the 3rd round. 12-2 right now for Poison. We highlighted him, but I don't think we were expecting him to stand out quite this much. It's round number 7. That we're going into, and he's currently sitting at 12-2. Quite a massive margin between him and the second player on Windigo. 2
kills per round on Poison already. Look at this from ENCE. They forced up, taking out an AWP on Alu. They're going to centralize around that, allow him to try to take the peaks. as they return the rest of the kills. He's over towards Pop Dog, surprisingly. Gonna look for the kills out there, but Blocker is searching elsewhere. Taking one down in Ivy, the retrade comes in. Victor finds himself 2. Don't know if anyone's ever used the term retrade before. I meant trade or refrag. Said them both at once, but it's all right. Don't worry about it.
We're Irish. We can make things up.
Yeah, we can make up words. Don't worry about it.
What's the crack?
What's the crack? The crack is something that's not allowed in most countries.
It just means fun.
That does indeed. Well, look at this. It's not going to be very fun for Ariel. It's going to be very fun for Ariel as he pushes in and takes the head off Bubble. Absolutely, cracking them open. Helmets as well. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Alu turns away at just the wrong moment. Ariel's still getting some work done, though. He's got his second kill. The bomb's on offer. Gotta be careful, though, because Ships is down there. He's got himself an AUG, so he can see on long range. A little 2x scope on there. I wonder what times it is. Is it 2, 3 times?
I have no idea, Mitch. I'm not going to lie to you.
You know, PUBG tells us. Why doesn't CSGO?
If only you could swap scope on it. No, that'd be really silly.
Put an op scope on it. Why
that'd
not?
be interesting. What magnification does it actually have? So
I'd say it's about 2.
Probably something along those lines. I'm not gonna lie, I don't use it because I do not enjoy it, even with the lower.
We'll have to ask Halka. He knows.
Yeah, Halka again. I've said this on stream before, but he's used the AUG and the SG for a very long time because when he first started playing, his friends lied to him, told him that they were the main weapons. So they're what he learned. Never bothered to swap over, and maybe it was the same for Ships because he just absolutely destroyed that eco rush, getting himself a quick 4K. He's going to be happy with that. Sure, it was against Kevlarless opponents, but it's always nice to build up some confidence with those frags.
Always nice to build up some HLTV rating, am I right?
Another way to phrase it, yeah.
But Poison still massively ahead there. 14 kills on the board as we come in to round number 9. Blocker's getting a bit aggressive over towards the E-box. Alongside Victor, they're going to be holding the crossfire, making sure that they've got a main and Pop Dog covered. No T's can get out. And that's a very spread out. They are looking to take an A-take eventually. Breaking the window, setting up for the smokes. There they go. The Bubble's ready for them to drop down. Then Sergey actually finds that kill, despite it being such a heavy choke point, but the Molotov's going to keep him back, meaning his teammates can't push out just yet. They're trying to delay this time so their smokes dissipate. ENCE know that, though. They have to push out eventually. And the smoke's actually going to be fading now in a couple of seconds, so I think that their smokes are pretty much countered at this point. The boost goes up. Poison's in danger, but he finds it. Scopes in a second time and finds the frag. Blocker as well. Poison's going ham on Alu, and it's all on X7. He almost does it on the Victor, but ultimately Victor is the victor in that battle.
You could hear the worry in your voice there.
Yeah, I was getting very... When I saw those bullets start to connect onto Victor's groin, I was getting very worried.
Almost as shaky as the spray.
Hey, that was a decent spray transfer.
Oh yeah,
just
it was. It's not easy.
It hit the chest and instead of the head.
6-3 though. Windigo, after being in a very awkward position when they had 2-3, were on a full eco. We should have seen ENCE at that point pick up a 4-2 lead. Instead, now Windigo are just looking very dominant. Going to be again the aggression coming in towards Ivy from Blocker. That's the spray down that you want to see. It's a quick triple kill to be found. Ariel, X7, and Sergey are going to be just completely wiped off the map. Ships actually did allow for a player to pass, and that may be the bomb plant. I don't think Ships is going to be able to get much done. He had his knife out. He would have been able to deny it if he had the weapon in his hands. But in the end, the bomb plant does go down. That's a small victory for ENCE. They can be happy with that. There was very little investment. And I think that really, as Henry G would say, that was a little bit of a blunder there from Ships.
Yeah, I think the thing here, though, is 7 rounds on the board for Windigo with 5 more to play for. I mean, if they can pick up 9-6 even, like 6 rounds is usually a decent scoreline for a T side, but I feel like up against Windigo, it's not going to be enough. They're so good on their T side, you know, generally picking up those 6 to 7 rounds that... And right now, I mean, the potential, the way that the match has been going, if Windigo win 1, they've already got 9 on the board because ENCE will be on pretty much no money. It's not looking good right now. Even if ENCE win a round, you know, they're going to be up against a couple of full buys from Windigo with all that money stacked up, and just 1 reset's all that they need. If ENCE win 1 round and get reset, it's almost 11-4 straight away.
Yeah, it wouldn't be ideal. We need to see ENCE right now pretty much start to pick up these rounds, start building up some momentum themselves. And it looks like they are going to try and take up the pace a small bit. Alexi B actually been able to creep out in towards Olaf. And actually, I believe, spotting out the shadow of Bubble, but it doesn't matter because his head just instantly gets ripped off. One trade elsewhere to be found by Uriel, but it didn't last very long, as again the man advantage is going to be put in favor of Windigo. The aggression from Blocker through Ivy, he's gone for this time and time again, and it does continue to work. It's all onto X7, and I was gonna say Sergey, but he was taken down before I could even finish my sentence. As now it's the 1-on-2. X7 is going to have to come out with a quad kill if he wants to make this round work for ENCE. And sadly, it's Blocker from behind to finish him off. 8-3 as Windigo again are going to be able to pick up a gun round. And without a bomb plant, ENCE are just going to have to... I was going to say go ahead and eco, but it seems like they are going to buy into this one. Adam's going to have a weaker buy, but I think that's it. So it's actually not too bad.
Well, you take a look at how the rounds are kind of going at this point. You know, you're looking at an 8-3 scoreline. If ENCE go for an eco again, they're gambling on that buy, and if the buy didn't work out, then they're pretty much screwed. I mean, there'd be too many rounds built up for Windigo. So at this point, you know, they can afford to go for a buy of a round, especially if they're getting bomb plants in. But with only 3 rounds on the board, they really need to start winning. This is do or die at this point. You can't allow Windigo to walk away with many more than this. And already...
Oh.
Lexi B is not having a good day.
No, he hasn't seen anyone. I don't think anyone has seen him. They've just been spamming into the smoke, and the nade from Blocker finishes them off. So it is already the 5-on-4 again. ENCE, as it seems to be the case throughout this entire map, and maybe even series so far, they are going to be on the back foot quite heavily. Another kill to be found by Ships, but the timing there, just as he turns around, gives a little bit of an opportunity now. Sergey to find one. The bomb, I was going to say, should be retrieved and planted, but it is yet to be picked up. Instead, they're trying to force the fights. It'll work out for Sergey at least, but not elsewhere. It is going to be now a 3-on-1. X7 on that lurk was hoping that his teammates would find success, but that was not the case. He's instead now left to try and clutch out the 1v3.
And again, these rounds just being pulled back for Windigo. They've been looking so convincing so far. If X7 can pick this up, it could be the momentum that ENCE need to propel themselves back into this. Again, they'll be against full buys consistently, but let's see if he can do it as he slowly creeps out from Connector. Windigo eventually going to get a read of this. They spot that upper B is clear. At this point, holding onto there, they just need to worry about CT and Connector. I think someone's just shot at them. Indeed, Bubble did. Taken down straight away, but the trades go through for Windigo, 9-3. This is looking like a much more refined CT side than what we saw from Windigo over at Bucharest Gaming Week, and I feel like perhaps it does come down to what we said before. They often play down to their opponents. Well, this time, coming in with the utmost of respect for their the other team. Don't know why that was the word I got stuck on. And the thing is that, you know, ENCE, there's so much data out there on them that it's going to be so easy to counter-strat them, especially because, like we said, this is the event that teams like Windigo will be focused on. Out of, I mean, the last 3 to 4 months, this is what they're building up to.
Yeah, it definitely seems like Windigo have a very good idea of how ENCE are playing this. Even just in the previous round where Alexi B creeped out in the sandwich, they know that when those two smokes go down, that they do try and ENCE normally push out a player, and they just perfectly put the nade in Doran's position as well, knowing that's where he likes to sit. But let's see, because into this one at least it is just pistols and Kevlar. There's a chance for ENCE. They do close in the distance towards that A-bomb site. Bomb already being planted, but as we can see again, it is Blocker. He's stepping it up massively over this map so far, being able to go ahead and take himself those multi-kills time and time again. And it is just going to be cleaned up. Plenty of time for the defuse. Windigo already going to be able to find themselves double digits. As ENCE at this point, they need to pick up these remaining 2 rounds on the T side if they want to make this somewhat a respectable half.
Even an 11-4 won't look good for them. They do need to pick them up. The problem is, look at the economy for Windigo. If they pick this one up, then Windigo still have a bye, and it's an evenly contested round. So chances of an 11-4 are pretty strong at this point. Windigo even have that 12-3 potential, because if they destroy ENCE in this round without letting a bomb plant, actually I've just noticed they've got like 1k.
Without,
they will have money to buy up, so never mind. I thought they would have fully invested, but of course getting the bomb plant in the previous round pushed them up to the point that they'll be okay for the final. But even still, right? 10-3. This is looking very solid for Windigo. They're looking like a more controlled CT side. They're controlling their points of aggression. They're trading when they go aggro. They got pop flashes in, and like you said, Dean, they've got a read on how ENCE plays it. And there's nothing more demotivating from talking to a couple of players over at Malta, over at in Bucharest as well. When a team has a read on how you're playing, and you feel like, look, these are your 2 or 3 go-to situations, and every time you do them, you're just being countered straight away, you're being read. It gets so hard to kind of figure out on the spot, what can I do? You know, you have to figure out a whole new way to play your game, and that's not easy to do. I feel like this is what we talked about from ENCE before. They often build themselves up, they get these good results, then teams start taking them seriously, counter-stratting them, and that's when they fall apart.
Yeah, maybe not having quite the same level of mid-round calls, I suppose you would put it, as some of those top teams. Well, let's see, because it is, for now at least, a decent chance for ENCE. They have the full buy, but they don't have a lot of time, and they're yet to really get themselves all that much control. But as I say that, of course, Alexi B does manage to open things up. Bubble going to be taken down in towards Pop Dog. Sergi actually creeping out onto B. This could be dangerous if he gets spotted and taken down. It gives a bit of an opening back towards Windigo, I suppose, but it seems like instead he is just showing some presence. Going to be selling a little bit of a fake. They've actually pulled a second player over towards B, meaning there's a great opportunity now for ENCE, because Ariel has managed to creep out. He's going to find the back of Blocker in just a couple of seconds, gets himself that opening kill, but Victor steps it up now for the double. The opportunity for more definitely going to be there, but he's taken down by Alexi B, and Alu chiming in onto ships as well should pretty much confirm a 4th round for ENCE. But Poison, if he can take even 1 or 2 more kills here, he will be able to damage the economy of ENCE and maybe limit their buy coming into this next round, or maybe even come out on top of it as he's gifted a free kill onto Alu.
This could be very dangerous indeed. I think they've just heard him scope, and they've definitely heard him on the ladder though, so Alexi B takes him down 10-4. Like we said though, Windigo have got the money to get that buy up in the next round, despite the fact that ENCE will be on a full buy themselves. It's not going to be easy, because Windigo have got full utility, they've got full weaponry. That's the benefit of winning so many rounds in a row, that resets don't really come in. And also the double op setup, of course, ships taking an AWP as well, as they've got the money in the bank to allow it. And we've seen him towards B before, something we commented on before the game. They're happy to give it to him at times. And of course, Poison is going to be playing the usual, sitting himself over towards the green train. It's either here or connector that we see him. Ships misses that shot though, and that could be huge. Victor's getting aggressive though. Hold on, that Molotov's going to push them out of position. Never mind, Ariel finds the kill, and the risk is averted.
A good double peek there coming in over towards the B halls. Very well played to take down ships. Victor maybe should have had a flash going in there if he wanted to try and get aggressive alongside the Molotov, because they would have been forced into the open. Wouldn't have really been able to turn away from a flash. It would have been pretty much perfect. But look at this from Bubble. He's got himself aggressive in the hall. Should have pretty much a free kill onto Ariel. That is definitely the case, but he has already allowed for them to push forward on B. They took down his teammate. They've gone ahead and taken that control, and it's looking like a potential 5th round for ENCE unless Blocker and Bubble can step it up. The double B combos, I suppose, is what you could call them, and they're actually both going to be coming in from the same position pretty much, but already Blocker being dealt with. Bubble, he has been spotted jumping above that smoke. A nice nade to actually damage him down quite heavily. He has the defuse kit, so he maybe could have opted to try and stick it, but he gets taken down. It's 10-5 at halftime. A decent recovery coming in, as we actually do see ENCE eventually pick up those 2 final rounds. But still, 5 rounds on the D side, it isn't amazing. If they can pick up this next pistol round, they could be looking at a very tough task for them to try and actually come back into this one.
Yeah, indeed, it could get a little bit more difficult than we would hope. But with Windigo having 10 rounds, that's what I highlighted before we started this. That's what I wanted to see from them. They're a good T-sided team. Looking at how they dominated ENCE there towards the start of the game, you'd certainly put them as favourites coming into the next half. Thing is, though, ENCE seemed to fix their issues a little bit towards the end. They were playing it as a team. They were double peaking pretty much everything. Main, upper B, and then at the end there, when you saw them try to come down for the retake, they're double peaking over towards Grey Train and close Grey and Brown. That's a lot better. A lot more team play, a lot more synergy on display there. 10-5, if they can mount a comeback, if they can win the pistol and then the full buy round, they're already up on a 10-9 scoreline. It's not that big of an ask realistically, and we're going into things now. We're seeing Bubble with a little bit of utility, and ENCE have opted to take Alu on a smoke, leaving $500 over so that he can get an op a little bit later on. That's a very interesting play.
I believe Bubble dropped the P250 over to Poison as well, giving them the slightly longer range capability. But yeah, as you said, the defuse kit, some utility as well being available on Alu over on that ENCE side. Already, Sergi haven't got aggressive early on, going to be able to find that opening pick. It's Victor who gets taken down. The info was found early on, and this is going to be a tough one now, as already the rotations coming into place. The USP is at long range so far are going to be coming out on top of these duels. Although the bomb will be planted at least, it is, of course, still a man disadvantage. Poison very low on health, similar to the position for X7. But let's see, because the defuse kit is still in play for ENCE. They'll be looking to try and push forward. The flash thrown in isn't really all that effective. But the question is, can Windigo actually hold this down? A nice nade being thrown in does some damage. The Glock in the hands of Bubble, going to be able to spam away onto Alu. But Aerial, he's coming in from behind. They've lined it up. Poison very low on health. We mentioned this before. The P250 not going to be able to get it done onto both players. He needed one bullet to finish off X7, but sadly he wasn't able to do it. It's ENCE to go ahead and find themselves a very crucial round as they take themselves a 6th.
2 HP X7 survives with and wins out the round. With ENCE finding that pistol, something we mentioned before we started this second half, it's something that was important. It was almost necessary for them to come back into this, but now things are certainly looking possible.
I see the buy actually coming out from Windigo. I don't like this, especially when you have such a lead. You can afford to actually just go ahead and take the eco. They got the bomb plant in that previous round, so I guess it is an okay investment. But if they went for the eco coming into that first gun round, they would have had pretty much anything they could have asked for. So I don't know if I really like this, but who knows? Maybe they can make it work. They have the scout to try and put in some damage, the Deeg, the SMGs, and a Galil as well to try and actually get this done, and it looks like they are again going to try and favor over towards B, but it seems like ENCE have a bit of a read on that because they have 3 players already over towards this B bomb site ready to try and lock it down. Lexi B going to be the first point of contact on that MP5, but the kills are coming in for Windigo. Poison with 1, Ship's doing the same, but it's going to be stepped up now by the M4s. A complete lockdown and a great recovery comes in. Blocker, having got very aggressive, actually finds 1, but the remaining 2 players going to be back on that bomb site are going to be very difficult for him to try and deal with as the bomb is dropped.
He's closing the distance. Aerial hasn't yet gone for a peek. He could be caught with his back turned. This could be... Oh, never mind. Oh, okay. Finds the kill. 15 HP. Sergey takes a little bit longer than I expected to find that bullet onto him.
I panicked, not gonna lie.
Me too. Heart jumped a little bit, but it's okay. In the end, it's ENCE coming out with the victory. The problem is something we've mentioned before. Not having a
hang on, are they buying again? Poison has dropped over an AK, and yeah, another one being dropped over, I believe, by... I wanted to say Bubble, but I think Ships actually was just able to buy that up for himself, if I recall correctly. So, yeah, they're able to get the investment out here. 3 AKs, a Deeg onto Poison, and a Scout. It's slightly better than the previous round. And ENCE may not expect this. They know they've done a lot of damage, of course. Yeah, they don't really have the money to get the M4s either way. That's what I was going to say. You know, we see a lot of the time when you lose a lot of players in that second round, that's where things get very risky, because then in the third, you've no money to work with. This is a great read by Windigo. They know that the reset potential is on the board, and they're going to try to work some picks, and that's ultimately all that the start of this half is. Start of this round. I mean, the first half of this round. As they slowly maneuver their way over towards Ivy, you're going to see Ships coming up close. A 1 headshot, all that's needed there by X7. No head armor on Ships, of course. Oh, a headshot down by Ships, though. With 21 HP, survives. Blocker grabs 1 as well. Now things are looking very good for this T side. Ships is hitting everybody's head. He's 20 HP. Somebody stop him. What's he doing? It's Alu left alive with an MP9 to clutch out a 1v5. Dean, do you believe? I do not believe, because it looks like it's going to be a little bit too difficult. Sure he wins out the first fight, but he's taken down very low. Was on 2 health, and Victor walks in and finishes him off. Ships just... I don't even know how to say that. I guess you could say he rocked the boat of ENCE out on the A-bomb site.
God damn it, Dean. God damn it. Yes, I suppose you could say...
He was the iceberg?
He was the iceberg to their ship.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was insane. 20 HP. Finds the first headshot, sure. Second, third. It's like, God damn it, Ships. I mean, I know we said you're a good player in the previous map, but you've already proved it. Give somebody else a chance. Well, 11-7. Now ENCE are broken. Maybe not mentally, but definitely economically.
Yeah, it's not looking so easy for ENCE. That is one way to put it. Poison already been able to open things up with a nice double kill. He's currently sitting at 25-8. He has been having a spectacular game, as has Ships at 18-11. Kind of everyone over on that Windigo side, I believe, is stepping it up. I don't think there's anyone really trailing behind by too much. But it looks to be a 12th round to be found for Windigo. It was a force buy that came in for ENCE, and they haven't been able to make it work. So they do pretty much just have to save these pistols now, so they have something to work with in this next round. But even then, won't be able to buy up. I'd imagine they are going to take that eco. We should see Windigo taking themselves a 13-7 lead. And then with a 6-round deficit for ENCE to try and overcome to keep themselves in this map and also in the series, it is going to be very difficult. Not the ENCE that I was expecting at all coming into this qualifier. I was putting them up there as one of the teams to go ahead and qualify through. Of course, there's 8 who are going to make it out of the 16. And right now, Windigo, they're heavily impressing me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Windigo, we said this, they've been preparing for this. This is the big event for them. This is what they've been looking forward to for months. And they come in and they find themselves a very convincing start on the first map. That was Inferno, and now we move over here. A map that they previously were beaten on 16-4 by ENCE. And now they're sitting on a 12-7 lead on their T side, up against a very weak economy of ENCE. They've only got a couple of pistols in play, 2 pieces of armor, no head armor at all. It should be an easy round for Windigo.
Should be. Again, though, it is Counter-Strike. We love that it can be very unpredictable. So who knows, maybe there's an opportunity here for ENCE. If they can hit some nice shots, they have the P250s onto a couple of players. They have a Deeg as well to work with. But so far, it's not going very well. Split on towards that A-bomb side. There's just too many angles for them to deal with. And so far, the only kill to actually come in towards the Windigo side is from Blocker. He goes ahead and says, all right, guys, we'll give you a little bit of assistance since you are clearly struggling. But it's not enough, it doesn't seem, because it's all on Sergey now. 1 on 4. Couple players are low health, though, so that's a chance for him at least to drop some more weapons. But let's see if he's going to be allowed to do so, as it looks like Ships is going to try and creep out of the main position, just instantly rips his head off.
What is he doing? Like, every time he's low HP and you're like, 1 bullet on the Ships and he's dead, he just comes out and shoots everyone in the head. Yeah.
He's looking crisp on that AK. That's
yeah, absolutely. He's shown his proficiency with the AWP on the previous matchup on Inferno. Now he's here. He's able to... I think he didn't see him with the AWP too much here. The one time I did notice him, he whiffed. He's making up for it. We can forgive him.
Oh yeah, he's stepping up, especially over these last couple of rounds, and they're the important ones. Taking the things such as the first gun round is always going to be something that can really swing the game in your favor. Yeah, I believe some people call them the swing rounds.
So. The snowball rounds as well.
I haven't heard that one. That's a good phrase, but yeah, potentially one of the last gun rounds here for ENCE. If they can't make this one work, I think it's going to be just running away from them a little bit too far. So it is going to have to be them stepping it up now. Going to have to be almost flawless from this point forward. As early on, we see Poison trying to get aggressive. We know he loves to go for those aggressive peaks, take some risky plays. It's risk-reward that he aims for. Although he doesn't find the opening kill, he does at least put a little bit of pressure towards ENCE and force them to use some utility. And we can see, of course, with a minute remaining, they have barely anything. 1 smoke and a couple of flashes. It's going to be difficult now. Windigo beginning to push forward as it looks like they're going to maybe try and split on towards the B-bomb site. Opening kill being found, though, from X7 as he takes down Ships. But Bubble, he's instantly there for the trade. And actually, he's going to be kind of trapped now because Alu waiting on the other side of the smoke is going to be there to quickly take him down. Victor with 1 elsewhere gives them the opening that they did require, though, over on the B-bomb site. Serving as a little bit of a distraction towards Ivy, where Ships and Bubble.
And the bomb has been planted. Without Ships and Bubble on the T side, it's a 3 versus 3. ENCE go in for the retake with an AWP, but Ariel's the one to open it up. He's cautious. He thinks the blocker's going to be here. You can see him paranoidically checking that angle, and eventually the fruits do not go his way. He does a bit of damage on the blocker, at least allowing his teammate Alexi B to maybe finish him off. Oh, that got a bit risky there. Victor manages to get AWP'd. Oh, that's awkward now. Blocker pulls the flashbang. That's heard by Alexi B. He doesn't turn away those sprays, and it works out as the defuse goes through just in time. ENCE get it with, I'd say, less than a second left. As 13-8 develops, now this is a very important round. They lost a lot of players. They have to reinvest really heavily. 2 to be dropped over. That means 3 players will be unable to buy in the next round, plus utility purchases, which means that if ENCE lose this one, Windigo pretty much win, because they're going to be on an eco then in the next round. Thing is, Windigo, if they lose this one, they can buy again. All they have to do really is win one of the next 2 rounds, and if they lose this one, get like 3 kills. That will keep ENCE in a position where they'll have to eco or have a very poor buy if they lose, and Windigo have 2 buys to manage that.
Exactly, they were allowed to just build up so much economy so far on this T side, had not really been contested in those previous rounds. Sure, ENCE finally get 1 round on the board, but now they're going to have to really step it up. And actually, as we see them trying to get aggressive into A main, the timing does not work out in favor of Ariel. Blocker going to be able to open things up with a quick headshot. 5 on 4 already being found for Windigo, as well as some control as they do manage to put Blocker out into the Olaf position. Good spot indeed. Alexi B wants to try and force the fight, and that's actually a really nice headshot he found on the Poison right there. That's a big name to claim. The bomb being dropped, although it should be fairly easily retrieved. But just as I said it, of course, it is actually Alu who gets a little bit of a sight line with the AWP and a Molotov to force Blocker into the open. And allows for ENCE to actually go ahead and gather themselves an advantage.
The double op setup still in play for the CT side as well. With the man advantage, things could get risky as the T's rotate over towards the B-bomb site. Alu's waiting, and he's patiently waiting and rewarded for it as he takes down Bubble. Now push into a 2 versus 4. Look at this aggression from Ships. Goes through the smoke. Sergey's watching it though. He says good night, although Victor takes a bit of damage and finds a kill. Alu will eventually finish him off and put it 13-9. They found 2 kills. It's not quite enough to force massive reinvestment from ENCE, but with the utility that they've managed to waste down as well, at least that keeps them somewhat modest. If Windigo find 1 round, and this is their opportunity, they're going to be up against a relatively... There we go. A relatively weakened CT side with 2 players unable to buy properly. They'll probably be on the pistols, and the others at least able to get an SMG and 2 M4s out. The AWPs will not exist anyways. So that gives them a massive advantage if they find this one. Problem is they're coming in with a scout and, again, relatively limited utility.
Yeah, it's definitely not the perfect buy, but it's definitely something that they can actually make work if we can see them continue to step it up like they have been so far. Sergey early on in this round rather just going to be playing for info towards B, and does decide eventually it's time to just fall back off. But there's 2 players in position, including Alu, who's actually posted up on upper. Victor not going to be aware of that. As he peeks out, he'll be instantly shut down. And I was going to say a second should be found for Alu, but a nice shot from Blocker comes in to go ahead and instantly finish him off. That Molotov going to be able to force Sergey out into the open, and the headshots from Blocker are being found. Tapping away, continues to do so, takes down Alexi B, and actually an opportunity rises on towards Aerial. Sure, he doesn't find a kill, but he does the damage, and with it only being Aerial now that is alive, this things rather are going to get difficult because the flank is also going to be found. You can see Ships from behind, but he needs to be cautious. He needs to get this one quickly. Does about spot the barrel and eventually finishes it off. Windigo with a 14-9 scoreline. The economy of ENCE has been completely destroyed, and they're actually looking at a double eco onto a couple of players. Yeah, that's what we were talking about before this round began. It's pistols on Alexi B and Aerial. Realistically, they can't go for a double eco. That's for sure. So right now is probably the time to get a buy so you can still compete for the victory. I don't know if they want to go for an eco. I suppose you can have the likes of Sergey and X7 drop over a couple of pistols, but overall I doubt. See, well, that's why the pause comes in, right? They're going to discuss this, but I doubt they are going to go for the eco because it's just not worth giving the 15-9 and then fighting for 6 consecutive rounds when I don't think they've even gotten 6 consecutive rounds so far. It would be a massive ask, and they realize that, so they go in for the force buy. Alexi B keeps over 1,500. I was wondering what that was about. Eventually buys up. And here we are, Dean. This is the final stretch. Par for the course. If Windigo win this, they pick up the next round almost 99 times out of 100. Yeah, if ENCE don't manage to find this one, they're going to have an even worse buy into the following round. So this is their best chance really to get themselves back into this game before it gets a little bit too far away from them. Windigo looking to try and take themselves map and series point. And to do so, all they have to do is take down this fairly weak buy from ENCE. But look at this from Sergey. He's aggressive. The problem is if a flash goes in, he could be in for a lot of trouble, or even if just a double peek. If he only finds 1 kill, that's not enough, because as we can see, it is a little bit of a stack over towards A. There's no one in a position who can rotate over quickly. So if he falls, it likely would be set into a retake position for ENCE. But as we can see, everyone being really patient right now. The action is still yet to come in. They're waiting. Victor and Blocker are waiting. Poison's got 2 flashbangs. I assume they're going to just wait and then pop a flash in. No, they're just going to go straight in for the peak, but it works. Bubble takes one onto Alu. Victor as well onto Sergey. They don't even need flashbangs. All they need are AKs. ENCE need AKs as well, but they can't get them, sadly, because they need to kill some Ts first and survive the round. That hasn't been working out too well for them so far. As I say, that Alexi B takes down Bubble and will pick himself up an AK-47. Aerial going to rotate back, but of course it was Ships that they took down as well. He was the player with the scout at the start of the round. So not a whole lot really to save over for ENCE, but at the same time, going for this would be just suicide. Oh wait, there's a second AK. Okay, that's a good recovery. This gives them something to work with in this next round. I think there was an AK dropped over towards... I'm not sure where it was, but I believe it was X7 on the scout that got the opening kill. Right, okay. So he would have dropped the rifle, so that was retrieved. But yeah, that's pretty much all they're going to have to work with now in this round. I guess they can drop over some SMGs. Alexi B could drop one over because he already has some utility alongside a defuse kit. So it's not going to be a terrible buy, better than we were expecting, at least due to them saving the 2 AKs. But still, it's map and series point right now from Windigo. 1 round away from taking themselves to 2-0 here against ENCE. This is definitely a different team to what we expected to see coming through. I mean, I stuck with the prediction of ENCE. I thought they were still going to be able to come back into it here on train, but that just hasn't been the case so far. X7 trying to get aggressive on Ivy, doing so solo. Going to be dropped already because Poison on the AWP was posted up and ready to shut him down. And that's exactly what happened. The 5-on-4, ENCE on the back foot to try and keep themselves alive. At least in the upper bracket. As you said before, there is a lower bracket, so it won't be the end of the road for ENCE in this qualifier at all, but it's not ideal to get off to a poor start, and that definitely seems to be the case as the kills continue to roll in. Windigo with a 4-on-2, leaving only Alu and Sergi to try and save the day, and it's just not happening. A 1-on-4 for Sergi. CZ, and as he pushes into a Molotov, he takes a lot of damage. Eventually gets one kill, but that's going to be a 16-9 for Windigo as they take the 2-0 in a very dominant fashion.
Absolutely, a much different team to what I think most people would have expected to see coming in. But it comes back to what we said. This Poison pickup has been insane. I think he finished with 27 kills on that map, and it's something that we see him do on train consistently. He's always at the top of that scoreboard, unless Ships is also going ham on the AWP, although it was the AK there that he really shone through on. But top frag in that game, very, very dominant. Although it was a close-ish scoreline, you know, it wasn't a 16-4 as ENCE took over Windigo previously. It was a lot more dominant than I think that scoreline suggests. I mean, the amount of rounds that Windigo just shut them out of, and whenever ENCE seemed to win a round, it was close. They were barely getting a defuse in, winning by 1 second or less. They were finding, you know, 2v2s, 1v1s. But when Windigo won, it was just, they were slapping them all over the place.
Yeah, we also have to give props to Ships and Blocker. Blocker was another player who was doing a great job of finding those opening kills combined with Ships. Of course, there were so many times where Ships was in positions where we feel like he should have been taken down, was just kind of spinning around on low health and finding headshots. Yeah. He had an amazing game. That's something that we've never doubted, though. We've always known that Windigo have had the firepower behind them. It's more being the team coordination, the fundamentals, and another thing being the utility usage. But in this game, everything worked out for them, it seemed. ENCE were never really able to get their feet on the ground properly and get themselves into it.
Yeah, grass cut from under their feet. They were favourites going into that by quite a large margin, but it comes back to what we said. You know, Windigo have been preparing for this tournament. This is their focus over the last couple of months. Picking up Poison has been massive for that team, and we expect to see them doing quite well as we move forward. I mean, they're going to face off... I don't think their opponents will be determined just yet, of course. That was a very, very quick 2 maps. But as we move forward, I mean, I'm excited to see how Windigo perform. They're a team that, like we said, have been doing well in the ESL Pro League. They picked up a lot as well since they picked up Poison, which was only recently. That was only a couple of weeks ago. And since then, they've had a lot more wins and a lot more convincing wins. Like, for example, 16 winning Hellraisers. That was a very, very strong performance from them. I think the other map was like 16-7 as well in their favor. And so when you look at them performing that well since this pickup, sure, there was a kind of setting period of about 1 to 2 weeks where Poison wasn't really performing that well. I think they were kind of figuring the role against these higher teams as well, adjusting to certainly he was adjusting to playing against these bigger teams because that wasn't something he experienced at B Pro. But now that he's comfortable there, you see that you give him space, he'll take you down, and a real thorn in the side for ENCE in that matchup in general, but particularly in that second match of Train. Yeah,
just overall, this was not what I was expecting. It looked so dominant. I said I was expecting the maps to at least be close. I thought it would be a 3-mapper, but in the end, Windigo will go ahead and get themselves a 16-11 and a 16-9 to continue on in the upper bracket. But guys, that is the end of this for now. We are going to be coming back with North versus Sprout later on when we are ready to go ahead and start that one off.